We're live with Gillette Labs. Got the Ultimate Shaver, your money back Neon Night edition available now. Anthony Moyles is with us. Anthony, good morning to you.
Good morning, gents.
The provincial championships, they're doozies, aren't they? We love them. They are amazing.
The funny thing is, I saw someone saying, compared to the excitement of the Leinster semi-finals last week, which was actually true,
Yeah.
So it's funny, it's just one of these. You keep thinking, so the argument for Connacht is obviously that you would seed it somehow, or even potentially, Munster. But so you don't end up with a situation like you had yesterday, and you don't have one side stacked.
If you were seeding, maybe Cork would have just been slightly ahead of Clare on the basis of how the season finished. But there would have been years where Clare would have been the second seeds, and
should they have put the two provincial finals this weekend? You'd expect on paper will be much better than this week than the previous weekend. So could they have just put one? I don't know.
Certainly Ulster will. I would fear. I hope Louth can because I think Dublin have potentially come back a bit, and I think that Louth team are better than probably a lot of people would give them credit for. But I still can't see it being anything but a 6 to 8 point beating. But the problem is everyone. I don't know if you guys have this feeling, but everyone's just like, let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah,
provincials. Yeah,
that's a sad state of affairs. It really is. It's just kind of like, okay, let's hurry this up. Can we please do it? So why not do that? And then of course we're saying, well, do it earlier in the year, but also you don't want to be playing in complete drudge either. So I don't know. Do you condense it even more, or do you just get? Well, obviously the thing would be just get rid of it, but that's not going to happen.
Well,
Ulster will hold on to that championship. For as long as they can.
And the championship is fine. You can keep your championship. You just can't link it to the All-Ireland series. It should have no connection to what's coming next. And one of the big things about the league and us not being able to have the league as the championship was, what about the sponsors, Allianz? But Allianz are now sponsoring the football championship as well. So they're obviously, they're now centrally involved.
Yeah.
You could just run your provincial championships from St. Bridget's Day to St. Patrick's Day. You can make it a holy festival if you want, and then
that'll take a lot of boxes, Ger.
And then you get into your tiered championships like we have now. And if you're bad enough to be in the second tier, win it and get up to the first tier, and away we go. And that's
how long are we talking about tiers and fixtures?
20 years. 20 years. I found a running order for Off the Ball when we went live, and it was splitting Dublin and
plus ça change.
And it was I know we should be getting back to splitting Dublin, by the way. But
yeah. I what was there to say about yesterday?
Matthew Tierney, do you want to start there?
He was good. Yes. You know what? I thought Galway were okay. Again, and I seem to kind of be repeating this, that Joyce won't fall into, I think, the trap of thinking, geez, we're world beaters. Because if you watch the match, it was actually quite even the first 10 minutes. Galway got an unbelievable goal, which was a pass that just was one of those that you literally couldn't have dropped it in better. It's up. The fullback is actually, he says, oh, I think I have this. And it's like, oh, no, I don't have this. And he slips. And then there's the 6 is there. So they have cover. And even the finish was excellent. He literally had to put it into a distinction. He only had one spot to go. But it was an unbelievable goal. So you kind of said, actually, Sligo were competing quite well up to that point. The goal, and then the next goal, which was just a complete blow up by Sligo. They're in control of the ball, they're coming out, they've slowed it down a little bit, they've actually could have moved it on, they're a little bit caught in two minds, and then they just make a massive error, and then bang, and that's it, game over. That's it. So in those, and that is the difference between Division 4, 3, even 2 up to 1. We saw it last week with Down and Armagh. The difference in the nous, the difference in that little smarts of Armagh, who realised Down are a counter-attacking team, lots of pace. Lads, every time we lose the ball on the forward line, just a little foul. Just a foul. Just get across a guy, pull him back, little stop, make sure we stop it dead and we get back. Just a simple little thing.
Stand in front of them.
Down didn't get the idea that actually we should restart this quite quick. Fellas going down, talking to the referee, kind of rolling around a little bit. And it wasn't just, some of them were quite physical fouls, which they kept consistently getting with. But that's, again, just the smarts of Division 1, 2, 3 and 4.
Is that what it is? Because Enda McGinley kind of made a similar point in commentary yesterday. He was saying, the conditioning and the training and even the skill level between Division 1 and 4 isn't massive difference. Like the Galway and Sligo players on those three things aren't massively different, but it is a little thing. It's nice, it's experience, it's playing against the top teams week in, week out.
It is. Well, look, at the top level, you know, the skill level is
better, yeah.
It is better, right? And the ability to kick left and right, and the ability to hand pass left and right. So where an opportunity exists, like I was watching the game yesterday, there's a great clip of obviously some of the backdoor cuts that Kerry did. You know, they did. Paddy did a backdoor cut kick pass, which was pretty phenomenal. Like, you know, usually you would do it by a hand pass, player comes towards you, he doubles up, goes back, but you could actually see him, like he points to David and he says, I'll stick this into you, and he just drops it in. Like an unbelievable pass, how deft it was. But you watch Sligo a couple of times where actually they had the opportunity to do it, but what happens is as the man turns, another man has come across into a space. Now that's a very, very small thing, but again, it's just coached. So Kerry, no, you do not go into that. You vacate that space. So again, they're just the small little things, but again, they're the difference between getting a goal or not. A hand pass that goes on the ground, a hand pass that's not being able to give because it's on a weaker side. So it is the skill level, but absolutely then it's just those miscalculations, those errors, you know, just sometimes just switching off a little bit, turning your back on a ball, you know, kind of even yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a kind of a contentious free that Clare thought they got from a kick out. Don't know if you saw that one before the second goal, and the Jamie Malone has it and he drops it and just gives it to the Kerry guys and then bang, 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 goal.
Yeah.
You know, rather than running back.
Colin Collins speaking with Tommy afterwards, and you can hear that in the podcast. He was very sore about that one. Now, he did point out, this sounds like Sarah Grace, but like what, you know, they couldn't see any reason for the free to be given, and there's an inconsistency. I hate talking about the referees, but because we end up talking about it in the League of Ireland, we end up talking about it in Premier League. It's just, it's like quality of refereeing in every sport. It's very difficult, and everybody always thinks it's terrible, but it's inconsistent at the moment.
Well, there's like the inconsistencies of it. I know hurling is a completely different game, okay, absolutely, because you have a stick in your hand, right? But I think there's most definitely a switch going on in football that the teams are understanding who the referees are and how they ref the game, and then they know this is as I said, top 6, top 8. I'm not saying most teams are doing it, but the top 6, top 8 are definitely saying we can take advantage of this referee in a certain way. So either A, they don't really like too much physicality on the ball. They will watch, say, inside forwards, you know, and how they're being defended, because some referees will actually watch, they'll see, and you know, some referees are very hard on, you know, if you pull or drag inside, and they'll give frees, where some don't. Some watch the ball, some run in and actually take up the area of the D. So there are inconsistencies in it, and I think there's inconsistencies then, Ger, on the level of intensity that is brought to games. Like even yesterday, like, and I know it's hard, right, because there is a deficiency in all of that, as we said, about the skill level and all that stuff. But there's some games that the fire is like it's going to be lit, and then all of a sudden it's just extinguished because there's so much blowing. Yeah, there's so much blowing, and you're kind of going, oh Jesus, you know, and you get the sense that if it's an Ulster Championship match, it's kind of like, let it go. And you're kind of going, how did he not get a free there? You know, but then it's kind of like, actually, well, it's Ulster Championship, and you know, Munster Championship in the hurling. You know, skin and hair flying. And it's kind of like, it's a given. But it shouldn't be a given. You know, so there has to be, you know, it is a tricky thing. Like some people have complained in the last number of years about Meath football that has gone soft. And back in the day, like how championship matches were refereed in the county were literally skin and hair flying. Like, I mean, if you got out of there with your head on your shoulders after scoring 5 or 6 points, you know, you would walk onto the county team and you were ready for anything. You were ready for the dubs on Leinster final day. And now it's kind of like, well, it's being refereed differently, and therefore, and I remember Andy McEntee a couple of years ago was saying that he actually met the referees. He said we need to start kind of increasing the level of physical. So look, there's other things, but it doesn't necessarily lend itself to a massive passionate game with lots of intensity.
No, and we end up with the games we had at the weekend, and look, maybe the refereeing is something we'll come back to later in the summer. Hopefully we won't.
Hopefully we don't need to, because you have to let games flow. You know, there's not. I'm not talking about taking the heads off fellas here, but like, you know, there's a lot of players, I feel, that if I come in to tackle you, Shane, as soon as I put my hand in, fellas are bang down. And they're buying those frees.
It is simulation, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff of, say, and especially if you're set up in a defensive wall. If I come at speed and I get a pop pass off you, and as soon as I hit that run, if I go down, it's in an instant. It's quite difficult for the referee to see, but it's free in.
Yeah. Or sometimes stuff. Some referees will let that go, and they'll let several of them go, and then that you can actually foul at the end and get away with it. So that's the bit where
But look, would it have helped the game? I think Clare would feel bitterly disappointed, because actually Clare were way below par.
Yeah.
They were way below par. They were like startled earwigs. I just think the enormity of it, I don't know what it was, but they didn't look at all like the team that they were, and it wasn't even like that Kerry were massively pressuring them. I think Kerry were saying, listen lads, if you want to play, that's okay, you play, score 2-10 because we'll score 4-12.
And again, the turnovers were key. I think they scored something like 2-3, 2-5 off it. Colin Collins was saying that they weren't actually under that much pressure. The ball was just being given cheaply to them, and he didn't understand why that was happening. Having said that, right, in previous years they would have lost this, gone into the qualifiers, straight one knockout. Now at least they are going to be playing in the Ulster Football Championship. They've got Monaghan, the
Donegal
and the beaten finalists in...
No, the winners of Ulster.
Oh, the winners of Ulster. Sorry, of course. Yeah.
That's a tough group for Clare.
That's a tough group.
And Clare have to go to Clonus as well. So,
as we said, welcome to the Ulster Championship, Clare.
I'd say they fancy their chances against Donegal.
I think anyone would at the moment.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's a great reset for them. They can go back, they can really have a good look at it and say, right, bang, 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 error. This is what came of those errors, and actually it was all in our control.
Yeah.
Yes, there was moments of brilliance from Kerry, and Kerry were trying things. You could notice that yesterday, Ger. I thought they were trying things. Like, you could see some moves. If you watch Moynihan's goal, the move, this is the one that we're talking about. He's actually out by, I can't remember who puts the ball across, but someone flashes a long ball across and he takes off, and it's a planned move. Geaney gets it, looks up, pops it into him, but you could see it's a kind of a basketball move, but of course accentuated a bit in that they were clearing the zone right in front of him, and he was cutting, slicing right through for another ball to come in over top. You can see Mike Quirk's hands all over this. You really can, and they're trying stuff. They're trying stuff in that forward line. I'd say put it in the locker and go, okay, we have that one for later on if we need to. But look, Clare will have to regroup. But you know what? I was impressed by Sligo. Sligo are a team and are a county that, again, resources, player pool, but they are, look at the under-20s. What are they doing? They're all pointing in the right direction. And, Galway are...
Yeah,
what Galway are, and okay, but they'll say to themselves,
but
know what?
If they beat Kildare at home, they'll probably progress.
Oh yeah,
to and have another game after.
Almost guaranteed if they beat Kildare at home.
Yeah,
like that's largely a winner takes all from that group. In a way, because you'd expect the other teams in the group to cause those Sligo and Kildare difficulties on the basis of the form that we've seen so far. And Sligo have them at home, and they've got a great record against them, and obviously the under-20 game will happen, I think, in between. So Clare have Donegal at home as well
in the first game.
Yeah.
And then they go to Clonus, and then they play the Ulster winner in the final game.
Now, maybe Donegal could lose that game and still cause trouble for other teams at Ulster, because it's Ulster.
Yeah, they've had time to kind of reset as well. Donegal, it hasn't been last week. They've gone away, they've licked the wounds. I would imagine there's a lot of soul searching going on. My only worry would be Donegal have a habit of hitting the red button and just saying bang, imploding. Right. So could lads be booking tickets to the States and already had conversations about that and saying, listen, I'm out of here because this isn't going to get any better.
It's the same with Tyrone and Meath. Would you prefer to be a squad that has that massive gap of 5 weeks before the group stages, or would you rather be a Clare or Sligo that play right up until a couple of weeks before?
It's a tricky one. I think it all is down to the environment that you're in. So I think if you're in a Donegal environment with what's going on top, that's a toxic environment. And what you're doing is you're probably saying to yourself, is this going to get any better? You can stick as many sticky plasters as you want on that, but I would be very worried about Donegal. I think if Donegal doesn't arrest the situation, what's happening, you could see them slide big time, and you could have a divergence between Sligo. And again, it goes back to county boards. It goes back to the direction of a county, which is, of course, is derived from your county board and your ethos and your vision. But you look at the teams over the last while who are down well in that. Down, Derry, Sligo, teams that are saying, well, this is where we want to go. This is all the things we're putting in place, and it's coming to the fore.
Yeah.
And Kildare, to be fair to Kildare, I know they had a tricky league, but like you're saying, Kildare's star has massively risen over the last number of weeks. It has to have.
Well,
within Leinster, they pushed Dublin all the way. They could have won that game. They certainly could have taken something out of it. And the under-20s.
Yeah.
The under-20s beating Dublin after extra time and then coming back from the dead against Down. These are not things that we as Kildare fans have seen that often in our history. And so, it's coming on the back of an under-20 team last year that reached the final, and it's coming off the back of Jimmy Hyland's under-20 team 3 or 4 years ago.
There you go, 3-5, isn't it? It's
not bad, yeah. It's a real sign. And here's the thing, if they'd actually beaten Mayo last year when they should have beaten Mayo, then everybody would be saying they've made a quantum leap forward. And they used the league this year to blood some players, and then they run the Dubs close, and all of a sudden, but
quite often that quantum leap forward, and it's funny how we relate to things and results, but that quantum leap forward is one game, but it's not one game. If you get me, it could be even longer, But it is kind of
it shows up.
Correct. It just is typified by one particular result, and everyone goes, there they are. But there's so much work goes on, obviously, to get to that point.
Well, with McGeeney, they hammered Meath in a qualifier, I think, by scoring 4 goals. And then they beat Monaghan the next day, or maybe they beat Monaghan first and then Meath the next day. And then, I was like, oh, actually, this is it now. This team has a very clear identity, having crapped out every year in the Leinster Championship.
Yeah.
And so, I think that's why we're going to see that. Some team is going to be that team that actually comes together and forms and storms their way through to an All-Ireland semi-final. We don't expect it.
Yeah.
At this stage, you'd say, no, the All-Ireland semi-final is relatively fixed. We know 3 of the 4, and then it's up to Derry to show us that they're still there, or somebody to knock them off.
Or Armagh.
Or Armagh.
Yeah. Galway,
You're not penciling them in just yet?
There's more strength and depth than last year, it would appear.
They do. But again, I wouldn't necessarily read too much into yesterday as well. Tierney's performance was kind of... I tell you what I wanted to look at yesterday, and I didn't really see it from them. There was a lot of individualistic type of scores. Tierney kicked some scores where you kind of go, wow. He just cut in off and he just bang with his left foot. The goals...
Yeah.
There wasn't massively, like, Burke got a few nice intricate kind of scores. Walsh was obviously ill. Why they played him, I think, is quite a strange decision. But anyway, and Comer did his usual. But there wasn't a fluidity in their game. I thought Kerry were more fluid in an attacking sense, and you could see that they were trying different things, as I said before. But yet Galway, I thought it was quite individual, right? Now, they scored whatever they scored, so of course there was some, good play with Kelly coming forward and all that stuff. But it's when the squeeze really comes on that forward line. That's my big question.
Well, maybe without Peter Cook and his heads of football, it mightn't have looked as good yesterday, because he was heavily involved in a lot of the good stuff.
Heavily involved, and I think he really actually came to the fore yesterday a bit more than most, and he's most definitely, like, Conroy has been there a long time, and I don't think Conroy is now a 70-minute man. I think he's a 45 minute man, and then you need someone out in that engine room. He's put the hand up big time, but I'm just not yet convinced. Mayo are doing the usual.
Well,
Mayo in the long grass.
Mayo have a big game in Killarney. Now, it's not that big a game because Mayo could lose 2 of their games in their round robin and still qualify. But
there's going to be some big scalps. I think there's going to be 1 or 2 big ones in that. The best thing about the round robin is you need to get those big games first. The big games that matter. And I know you're saying, well, Mayo Kerry will be able to pick, but it's still psychologically, that's a big. If Mayo turned Kerry over,
well then, then.
And if you can top your group and avoid that second place third, because in those second place third games, there's going to be big teams getting knocked out. I think, because a lot of big teams are going to finish second, and those teams in third could be Monaghan's or Roscommons or Kildare's
in the preliminary quarter-final. Final.
Well, whatever it's called. But there's going to be some big games, so you want to top these groups.
You want it nice and easy.
Yeah. Straight to the quarterfinals.
And next week's going to be, I think, looking forward to that. That's, as I said, a tactical. That's going to be there's a lot of X's and O's going on this week in both camps in Armagh and
it's a big game for Armagh, just to keep showing us that they can be consistent and can compete at this level, because if they go away against Derry, then there's a flakiness in them. Like last year, going out on penalties, I think Galway were actually quite superior to them, and they were lucky enough to get to the penalties. And this year, obviously, the league didn't show us anything, and that was on purpose. It looks like now they're much better than their league performance. But if they were to lose this game and Derry just handle their business, you'd be very concerned about the rest of the season for Armagh. But if they were to beat Derry, or if they were to at least put in a performance for the whole game, you're like, okay, well then they are in the top. They're just on the fringes of that top four. I did want to just ask your opinion on all of the dubs rounding on Glen Ryan over the last week. It was very interesting, wasn't it? It was like this orchestrated campaign of everybody who has any platform in the national media going, shut up, Glen. I was like, oh, that's interesting. You're all very touchy. Oh, very touchy, the dubs, weren't they, over the last week?
Yeah.
They're talking about all these things. Like, home advantage is worth 3 points in every sport ever. You have home advantage. So however the argument was made, you can try and pick it apart by like, oh, well, page 14 he said this and that's stupid. It's like, fair enough, whatever.
Yeah.
Be the lawyers if you want to be, but actually Dublin have home advantage and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Just admit it, it's bullshit. We'll go wherever, but it's bullshit.
He who protests too much.
There was a bang at protest too much, wasn't there? Yeah.
Well, there was a very serious bang. Like, because it's there's no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. You can dress it up however you want. It's very, very obvious for, I've played in there against them in there plenty of times, and there is no doubt about it. And actually, even Meath, we would have felt that Croke Park was pretty familiar to us, So we got to play in there a good bit. So you're kind of going, actually, well, it's definitely their home, but it's kind of, we're okay here. Like, did I play in, Fitzgerald Stadium a lot, a couple of times, or Porky Creek, so Croke Park was most definitely the second busiest, most frequented venue for me. And I still would have felt, actually, this is nice, it's familiar. I know the story here. As I said, I know where I put my bag. I know all the different spots. I know where I can kick from, not kick from. You can just understand it a bit better.
Well, I think Sligo's neutral game, I'm right in saying, is the Dubs. So can you imagine dragging Sligo over to Croke Park to play Dublin in a quote-unquote neutral match?
Well,
would you break 10,000 on that?
No chance. Like, that has to be on a provincial ground in the middle of Leinster.
Notwithstanding the familiarity isn't about home advantage. Home advantage is about all the other things that come with it. Refereeing decisions go your way because you've got more supporters and blah 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 blah. But there was the touchiness from all of them. None of them were like, fair cop, we have had home advantage. It's a bit ridiculous. The organisation has sorted out. It's like, he shouldn't be saying this. He comes across really bad. Like, well, screw you. Who are you to tell me what to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
A bit of gaslighting going on from these,
Yeah. Well, look,
it's
there is no.
Must have struck a little chord there, Glenn. Keep going.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Siege mentality has begun. Yeah,
the rematch is going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely, it will be. Well, you never know. Mickey is lying in wait. And I don't think Desi... Look, we spoke about this rotation that was going on, and most certainly was going on. I'm still not yet convinced. I know we were saying last week, Dubs, or a couple of weeks ago, they're bad. Okay, Leash. Kildare showed chinks, or they showed up that there is definitely frailties there.
Michael Fitzsimons isn't in the squad yet.
They still don't have a Bernard Brogan. They still don't have that. Right, Dean has probably dropped down a peg or two. Costello is still yet to really take the mantle. Okay, Con, and they're saying a big ball into him, absolutely, but he's not a Bernard Brogan. He's not that type of player that you can sling it in and just know one-on-one he is going to do what he needs to do to get us that score. So once you crowd out, which Kildare do, and which plenty of teams will do from now on,
Vicky Hart will.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that rematch is in Newbridge as well, Kildare Dublin. So that's going to be.
It's not.
Is it not?
No,
oh, sorry,
Newbridge
it's not. Of course.
Newbridge is gone, so I don't know where it'll be. But so it's. I think.
Croker.
You know, there's definitely questions to be asked.
Yeah, and long may they continue to be asked as opposed to being shut down by the former Dublin players.
But the good thing is, they still have the 3-point advantage.
Of course.
Exactly. I mean,
Head
it's just written down. It's like all the science shows it. But no, the music, excuses. Whatever. All right, fair enough. Very touchy though. For you've got the biggest medal collection in the history of the game.
Yeah, enjoy it.
It hasn't been tarnished.
Yeah.
It isn't being tarnished. All right, good stuff.
Cheers, lads.
Thanks very much for that. On tomorrow's show.